Have you been scrolling online lately and catching all those wild rumors? You know the ones, people claiming the world is literally ending right now, or that the prophesied savior, the Kalyug avatar, has already shown up and left, or even that ancient warriors are suddenly coming out of hiding. Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle these sensational claims head-on. We're going to dive into the actual scriptural math and ancient texts to separate the deep mythological facts from all this internet fiction.
So let's get right into it. The short answer to whether the world is ending or if Kalyug is already come and gone, it's a resounding no, not even close. But to really understand why and to see what's actually happening according to the ancient texts, we have to look at the numbers. We're going to completely demystify these claims by checking out the precise scriptural math that actually defines the timeline of the era we're currently living in, the Kali Yuga.
Now take a look at this number, 432,000. That's not a population statistic, and it's not a distance in space. According to the ancient scriptures, this mind-boggling number is the total lifespan of the Kali Yuga in solar years. Think about that for a second. When we hear about the end of an age, we usually think in human lifespans, right? Maybe a few decades, maybe a century, but to truly grasp the Kali Yuga, we have to totally shift our perspective to deep, deep cosmic time.
And to see where we actually stand right now, just look at the stark contrast here. Based on astronomical calculations from the texts, only about 5,127 years of the Kali Yuga have actually elapsed. That leaves a massive 426,873 years still remaining. I mean, we are just a tiny, tiny fraction of the way into this cycle. So if you were worried the end of the world was arriving tomorrow, well, hopefully this gives you a massive realization moment. We have barely even begun.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, is the Kali Yuga ending? Second, the timeline of the Kali Yuga. Third, the rise of the demon Kali. Fourth, Phase 1, Kali's dawn. Fifth, Phase 2, Deep Kali. And finally, Phase 6, Dusk and Rebirth. Let's jump in.
Section 1. Is Kali Yuga ending? Myth versus fact.
To really put to bed the rumor that this era is ending, we need to trace back to exactly when and how this massive cycle actually began. And the texts? They are not vague about the start date. By using planetary alignments detailed in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavata Purana, and other scriptures, astronomers have pinpointed the precise inception. It happened exactly on February 18, 3102 BCE, right at midnight or sunrise. And the trigger for all of this? A seemingly insignificant arrow shot by a hunter named Jar. That arrow struck Lord Krishna, leading to his departure from Earth. The exact moment Krishna departed to Vaikuntha, the previous era, the Dwapara Yuga, ended, and the dark age of the Kali Yuga officially kicked off.
Moving on to Section 2, the timeline of Kali Yuga, this massive 432,000-year cycle.
Okay, so now that we know exactly when it started, let's break down this enormous 432,000-year chunk of time into some manageable pieces. Because this era isn't just one long uniform block of time, it's actually divided by the scriptures into three distinct phases. First up, we have Kali's dawn, which lasts for 36,000 years. Then we plunge into this incredibly massive, deep, dark middle period known as Deep Kali, spanning a staggering 360,000 years. And finally, we hit Kali's dusk, the last 36,000 years. Understanding this structure totally sets the stage for what humanity is going to experience as time marches forward.
Section 3. The rise of Demon Kali, the literal embodiment of the age.
But hey, before we look at what goes down in those phases, we really need to understand who is causing it all. We need to look at the literal embodiment of this dark age, Asur Kali. Now, the lore states that Asur Kali, a literal demon representing the age, arrived during the reign of King Parikshit. And Kali was smart. Recognizing the king's immense power, the demon didn't try to fight him. Instead, he cleverly asked for permission just to reside on Earth. King Parikshit, knowing he couldn't entirely defy cosmic destiny, granted him 5 specific, contained places to live: liquor dens, gambling houses, brothels, and slaughterhouses. But that 5th domain, that was the ultimate Trojan horse. It was gold.
Yep, by allowing the demon to reside in gold, the king unknowingly sealed his own fate. Asur Kali immediately entered the king's own golden crown. From right up there on his head, he began subtly manipulating Parikshit's mind. This dark influence led the once righteous king to actually insult a sage, which triggered a fatal curse, death by the bite of the serpent Takshaka. And just like that, with the powerful king gone, Asur Kali was completely free to slowly extend his unchecked control over the entire earth.
Which brings us to Section 4, Phase 1, Kali's dawn.
the first 36,000 years.
So with Asur Kali's influence spreading like wildfire, we enter that very first phase, Kali's dawn. And remember, this is the first 36,000 years, which is exactly the period we are living in right now. Within this dawn period, a pretty dramatic transition occurs. In the early stages, religion and virtue still have somewhat of a foothold. You have great spiritual leaders like Buddha, Adi Shankaracharya, and Sri Chaitanya appearing to guide humanity. But the texts warn us this is only temporary. After the first 10,000 years, no more great spiritual figures will be born. The sacred river Ganga will actually dry up and return to Vaikuntha. The gods will entirely stop visiting Earth, and humanity will begin a really steep descent into absolute greed and natural disaster.
The scriptures actually give us a highly specific list of societal symptoms for this age, and honestly, a lot of these might sound eerily familiar to you today. Lifespans and physical strength shorten. Wealth becomes the absolute sole measure of a person's worth and status. Marriages happen merely for physical pleasure, leading to super easy divorces and the breakdown of family bonds. Businesses run almost entirely on deception. Even religious texts are misinterpreted for selfish gains, and political power gets seized by corrupt individuals who just oppress their own people. Wild, right?
Let's look at Section 5, Phase 2, Deep Kali, the 360,000-year descent.
As bad as that dawn period sounds, it's literally just the prologue. Next, we transition into the absolute darkest period, Deep Kali, which lasts for a brutal 360,000 years. This is where the texts paint an incredibly bleak picture. During Deep Kali, every single ounce of religion and righteousness vanishes. Nature completely turns her back on humanity. We're talking all rivers and water sources drying up. Mother Earth simply stops producing crops. Reduced to skeletons from severe famine, human beings turn on each other. The scriptures actually describe horrific familial conflict where parents and children turn against one another, just trying to survive in a completely barren world.
But it's right at the absolute peak of this darkness that the highly anticipated savior finally arrives. According to the Kalki Purana, his tactical profile is super specific. He won't just appear randomly out of nowhere. He'll be born in the village of Sambal to parents Vishnu Yasha and Sumati. He's going to ride a divine white horse named Devadatta, a steed actually capable of traversing land, water, and sky. Wielding a flaming sword and the Sudarshan chakra, and aided by immortals like Parashuram and Ashwadama, Kalki will eradicate Asur, Kali, and all corrupted beings. And get this, he will do the whole shebang in just 3 days. 3 days!
And that takes us to Section 6, Phase 3, Dusk and Rebirth, the final 36,000 years.
With the evil finally eradicated, we enter those last 36,000 years, Kali's dusk. But as Lord Krishna taught in the Mahabharata, total destruction is absolutely required for new creation. The cleansing of the earth isn't going to be subtle at all. It's a cinematic, fully apocalyptic finale. First, unrelenting global floods will submerge the entire planet, just wiping out all remaining terrestrial life. Then, the sky is going to ignite with the rise of 12 simultaneous suns. 12! Their intense heat will evaporate all the floodwaters, stripping the earth bare and purifying it entirely. Once this massive cosmic reset is done, the cycle renews. The Satya Yuga, the glorious golden age of truth and righteousness, will begin again, with the earth returning to a beautiful, lush, verdant state.
So the next time you see some sensational headlines screaming about the immediate end of the world, just remember the 432,000-year timeline. We are merely in the very early dawn of a massive cosmic cycle. I really want to leave you with this thought today. If this epic destruction we just looked at is merely the dramatic prologue to a beautiful rebirth, what role are we playing in this cosmic cycle today? Are we actively preserving the light, or are we simply giving in to the symptoms of the age? Think about that for a bit and keep exploring.